Good evening, all. It's Electrish with Static Desires, and it's my pleasure to be speaking today with an artist that I think breaks the mold of music right now. And his name is Jamie Blacker, also known as ESA. Hello.
Hi there. Nice to see you, Trish.
Thank you for joining me.
No problem.
So, electronic substance abuse. How did all of this get started for you as an artist? I know you've been at it for quite a while now.
So I came from a black and death metal background, and I got into industrial music through seeing a lot of rhythmical industrial bands playing at festivals, and it kind of changed my perspective on heaviness. I went from, the heaviness of guitars to the heaviness of, more electronic equipment and that kind of wall of electronic sound that I really got into. So I thought, why not give this a crack? And then here we are, 16 years later, still cracking away.
Yes.
But yeah, just trying to do something different out there.
And you definitely are succeeding and standing out in all of the genres that people could put your music into. I think that there's something very distinctive about your sound base, and it has its own sort of beat to it. It has its own distinct sound. So I love that about it. It's very unique.
Thank you.
And I know that you just played a live show or a couple of live shows over this weekend. So
well, it was actually just on Saturday, but I told you I might be hungover today because I'm 41 years old and my hangovers tend to last about 3 days now, as I'm sure some of your listeners might relate to.
Yeah, I completely understand that.
I played at an event called Sex Club in Leeds, which is kind of like a trans-friendly, queer-friendly, all-inclusive, sex-friendly, whatever you want to be friendly event. But it's like, its priority music-wise is electronic and goth and cyber and industrial and noise and, everything that makes the world go around. But it's a really nice event. It's a really nice venue. It's in a venue called the Belgrave in Leeds, which is a really cool venue. Too cool for me. But it was a great show, and a lot of people there, a lot of very attractive people there.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and it was definitely a success, and I'm still recovering with my tea.
Perfect. Now, my actual first exposure to your music and to you was it was during our lockdown here in Florida in the States, and I was watching Twitch, and I can't remember the name of the festival, but it was some Gothic festival, and you were performing, and I was so blown away. Immediately after watching your performance, I went and I looked you up and I watched some of your music videos, and then it was just like I went down the rabbit hole, and I'm so happy that I did because I was just so blown away by your work that you've done. And you were, the live drumming, and you had a dancer, and it was just incredible to see. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, I was very, very happy that I ended up watching that stream, because had I not watched it, I wouldn't have been able to go down that rabbit hole. So I'm very happy that I found myself there.
Yeah, I find this is still a situation I'm encountering quite a lot. A lot of people would be like, "Where have you been?"
Yeah,
I'm like, I've been right here. Been right here. But the thing is, I don't work with an agency. I've been on American record labels for the last 14 years. I've been through 3 different American record labels, but I don't work with an agent. I book all my own shows. A lot of the promotion is done by me. A lot of the promotion is done by our in-house label promotion, but I'm not the best at marketing. It doesn't interest me. It makes me feel dirty.
Yeah.
So I have this situation still when a lot of people are like, "Who are you and where have you been?" And I'm like, "Well, it doesn't matter. You found me now." But it does happen a lot. People have never heard of me before, and then they're like, "Fucking hell, you've got 10 albums out."
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You will hear of me very much, a lot in some places, and some places they'll never have heard of me. So,
yeah,
but it's nice. It's nice. I feel like the fans of ESA are like hyper into ESA, and then the people that don't know about me just don't know about me. So there's no middle ground. There's no like, "Oh, ESA is okay." Like, he's all right, I guess. I don't have that. I have these either hyper into it people or nobody. I quite like that. It feels like a bit of a club.
I think that works. Yeah, definitely. So you'll be happy to know that I've actually been to some clubs that are local to me, and I've heard your music, and I get so excited when I hear it because, let's face it, it's so danceable and so just perfect for that moment when you're just off your head and you're just ready to dance and have a good time. So it's good to hear your music playing here in the States. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. So so let's talk about the first music video that I want to show, which is for the track The Scorn. This is probably one of my very favorite videos, very favorite tracks that you've done. It's just such a visceral sound to the song itself. And when you see the music video with the song, it's just next level work. I love it. And I think what I take from it is that it deals with a possession of the characters involved, and the lyrics where we have these really tight scenes during the music video where you and Carrie, the dancer, are together. Oh, how long did it take to make this music video?
So there's a lot of stories behind that music video. I'll try and summarize into the most interesting stuff. But basically, every music video I've done, I've tried to like up the ante on production level and up the ante on creativity and writing level. Like, how can I make this something that people haven't seen before? That's the main thing for me. Like, how can I give it the same originality that big film writers give to their films, you know? And I had this idea. I really like the idea of, I'm really kind of infatuated with the idea of energy. I think everybody has energy, and some people take away that energy and some people give that energy. And you could have two people and they could be terrible for each other, but good for another person with regards to energy and control. And I find that quite an interesting concept. So what I wanted to do with the Scorn was play with the idea of energy and taking energy from people. And the Scorn Club is a club where the gentleman, played by me, because it just didn't make any sense to cast anybody else in that role, came to the club to take energy. He wanted to pick a performer that he wanted just the right energy from. So obviously he goes through the first one, the second one. It was a bit of a Goldilocks storyline. Right. Like the first one is a little bit too aggressive. The second one is... Actually, it's probably the second one that's too aggressive. I mean, she literally scared the shit out of me live when we filmed that. She's a very, very powerful woman. And the third one was the energy was just right.
Just
for the character. Yeah. So I toyed with this storyline for a long time. I was like, is this storyline landing? Like, am I getting my point across here? Because it was a very difficult, message to put across without any kind of dialogue. And I decided, okay, we're going to go ahead with it. So I need these three. I want three performers. I want them to be very different, but I want them to be very good. Unfortunately, because the kind of circles I run in, I always know somebody who knows somebody, right? Like, yeah, it's just so much easier living in that world where you can speak to somebody and it's like, oh, I know somebody who can do this. So we have Dis as the first performer, who's internationally known, drag queen.
Yeah.
And then we have Jada, who is equally as impressive, playing the second performance. Then Kerry Bailey, I told my friends, I want a contortionist. I want a contortionist stroke pole dancer. And she has to be at the top of the game. Do you know anybody? Do you know anyone? And then since then, I was introduced to Kerry. And then since then, me and Kerry become pretty much best friends now. Like we roll, pretty much consistently
unstoppable together. Like,
yeah,
it's incredible to watch. And I've watched this music video so many times because just the way that the camera moves with you and just the way that she moves it's larger than life. And I love it. It's incredible.
Thank you very much.
So with that, let's go into the music video for The Scorn. It's a brilliant, brilliant video. Love it.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah. So how many hours do you spend not only in the studio producing your music, but working on these music videos? Because it seems so seamless when you're watching them, but then I know that there's so much behind it, so much that goes into it. And do you ever shoot something and you just want to reshoot it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what I learned very, very quickly when starting to do these videos, because the first video people probably don't know much about, but it's called The Hold, and it was probably done maybe 5 years ago. The first thing I realized about that from that experience was the more production you put in before, i.e. pre-production before the video even gets off the landing ground, the much better place you'll be in on the day, because nobody in this scene is working with huge budgets. So you are in a massive rush to get everything shot in the same day. You know, you've got your location booked, you got your performers booked, you've got your equipment booked. You need to really hit the ground running first thing and make sure you get all that stuff in one day so you can keep the budget. So a lot of time goes in beforehand. I mean, if I was going to equate to hours, I'd probably say maybe about 80 to 100 hours just speaking to people, making sure everyone's very clear on what their responsibility is, and honing down the script. And, you know, before I even shoot anything, I want to know exactly what shot is going to happen at what part of the song. It's all extremely intentional. There is nothing that is like left to, oh, we'll just throw this shot in, and
right,
you know. And that is not a particularly a better way of doing things than somebody who just wants to take a lot of footage and put it to some music.
right.
But if you want to put out a narrative-led music video, you kind of have to be that disciplined to make it work. Otherwise, you're going to find when you get this footage, you suddenly got a minute spare of the music that you haven't got footage for, or you know, vice versa. You've got too much footage, and it just becomes a different kind of problem.
Yeah. Your attention to detail in your videos is so apparent because your music requires that, I think, because it's not easy to capture the right moment, like you said, with the right moment of the song, unless you pay so much attention to detail. So very well done.
Thank you. Cheers. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, I know that we're going to be showing the music video of Eat Their Young, which you have a song that features Caitlyn of Coralix.
Yes.
We love Caitlyn. We've had her on the show before. She's incredible.
Yes.
And I know that, you know, you two have done another track together. And this music video, it shows both of you just basically, it's just complete anarchy and just consumption. And I love it. I think that her vocals with your music and your vocals together are just so well put together. Had you not worked together at all ever, you're two artists that I would see working together. So it's
really
great. Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. Yeah. So I can't remember how I came across Caitlyn. I genuinely can't. I think it must have been on Facebook or something, and I was like,
yeah,
wow, she has a great feel to her vocals. Like you can just tell she was naturally, you know, born with a good voice. You can just tell it's not really something you can learn. That she just has a great sound to her vocals.
Absolutely.
Maybe just the frequency of her vocals just hits me just right. I don't know what it is, but I said to her, you know, I really like your vocals, like, and your music is pretty cool too. And she was like, well, I really like your music. Maybe we should work together one day. And we decided to do that for You Are Not Safe Here, or rather You Are Safe Here. I always get that mixed up. It's my own track. And that track was a real success. Like, everybody loved that track.
It's a great track. Yeah.
So we thought we'd give it another shot. And I was like, well, why don't we, you know, intentionally and specifically work on a track that we want to do a single for in a music video, so we can do this music video together. So I wrote Eat Their Young with that in mind. I was like, okay, let's write this for her vocals to go in these spaces. And, you know, Eat Their Young was the easiest video we've ever done. Like, it was really easy. It was probably 10% the difficulty levels of anything else we did, because I basically called my videographer on a Friday afternoon. I was like, I'm feeling pretty good tonight. Do you want to go out? It was during lockdown, basically. It was during lockdown. There was nobody around the streets at 3 a.m. So I was like, I'm feeling pretty awake. Do you want to go shoot some footage in the street? I'll put some makeup on. I'll carry around a baseball bat. We'll play like the Warriors thing.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, let's do it. I've got nothing to do tonight. So we went out in Leeds, got there for about 2 a.m., shot all the stuff with just me running around the streets in one go. And we shot the castle on the hill with a flag. We shot that the morning after that night. So we filmed from like 2 a.m. to like maybe 6:30 a.m. So we got the sunrise.
Perfect.
And, we got half the footage just in that one shot, and it's that one shoot, and that was much easier than usual.
Not used to that.
No, it's not usually like that, because the more people you get involved in it and the locations, the more complicated it gets.
Absolutely.
And and then I invited Caitlyn over. I was like, we've just shot all this footage. Do you want to come over, say Tuesday, Wednesday, in a couple of days? She was like, yeah, I'm there. So I found a location, a studio to rent in that time, and she came over, and it was, we did it in an afternoon basically. So the point I'm trying to make with this is, it doesn't always have to be like incredibly complicated. But that Eat Their Young doesn't have as much narrative. There is obviously a message being put out there, and that is consumption, and that is, idealistically, I am a socially stroke communist, probably, if you want to put me in some sort of bracket. But I have a very large amount of disrespect for the ultra rich, and that's kind of what the video is kind of pointing towards. We need to get rid of them, essentially. But what I'm trying to say is, it was a very easy in comparison video to do the rest of them, and it doesn't always have to be complicated if you have the right people with the right kind of feel.
This is true. Well, it's an excellent music video, and I love the track, and I love Caitlyn. So let's go ahead and show Eat Their Young.
Thank you.
Love that one as well.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions about the video. One,
Mm-hmm.
do you still have the flag?
Oh yeah.
And 2, who had to clean up afterwards?
Oh geez, it's really weird because none of the food or the anything that we got the prop wise for the scene with Caitlyn, none of it was particularly disgusting. But when it was mixed together,
Right.
it was revolting because she was like
Right.
she was mixing like steak and fish with trifle and
Yeah.
jelly and stuff, and the smell was like this really sweet. I don't know. It was like Haribo had been mixed with dead bodies. It was
Wow.
disgusting, and
Yeah.
the studio owner while we were doing that was keeping a bit of a darkened stare on us the whole time we were shooting that, because we were like, oh my god, they better not leave all this mess for me to clear up.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Looks like a fun video.
Yes, it was definitely fun.
Yeah. So speaking of music videos that you've shot, that one was pretty close to where you live, right?
Yes. So the night scenes were in Leeds, which is maybe 20, 30 minutes drive from me.
Not bad.
And the castle on the hill, that is literally like a 10-minute drive from me. So yeah, very, very close. And all the abandoned buildings are very much close as well. So nice and easy shoot this one.
Yeah, that's good. But I want to talk about another music video for your song "Like Meat Spoiled."
Mm-hmm.
Now that one was shot in Tokyo, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the dancing is so impressive in that music video as well. Just incredible. Something so beautiful with the visceral sound of your music is just it works. It works really well.
Well, I really appreciate that. So I'm really into contemporary dance and ballet because I don't know if it's a thing that stuck in me from being a kid. I once saw a music video by a band called Vader. Probably never heard of them, but they're a really strange Polish black metal band, death metal band. And they had this scene when there was a ballet dancer in like a warehouse, and it kind of always stuck with me from being a child.
Yeah.
And then I watched films like Suspiria. I'm a huge fan of that film, and films like that stuck with me along the way. And I've always thought that the idea of dance and using your body in strange ways against a very dark kind of narrative, there's something really sexy about it if it's done right. It can be done wrong. It can be easily done wrong, but if it's done right, then it works. And with regards to Like Me, I went over and played in Tokyo, and when I was in Tokyo, I met a girl called Mariella Kay, who's a really talented female videographer. And I basically said, do you want to do a video for one of my tracks? I'll commission you to do it. I can't stay in Tokyo for much longer, so I have to go home. But do you want to have a crack? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Let me choose a track off the album. So she chose Like Me, and it was probably the right choice. And she said, what's the story? And I said, well, I would like the idea of a ballet dancer that can only, again, get energy by consuming meat. And it shows, it shows her very weak at the beginning, but then obviously going through the process of finding the right person to consume and then getting the energy to her full peak performance.
Yeah.
And obviously there were limits as to what you can do with regards to eating people on videos. So we had to use a couple of metaphors here or there with the flowers, because, flowers are always thrown at the performers. Yeah. But yeah, she was tasked with finding the right people, and she absolutely did. She found some amazing dancers, primarily the main person. I forget her name now, but she's incredible.
Yeah, we have a clip of it to show. So let's show it real quick.
Great. brings back some memories. I haven't seen that video for a long time.
Yeah, it's a great video. You have so many amazing videos. It was so hard to choose, because I know we're limited, but yeah, just I'm excited to see what you do in the future, because the album that track is from, That Beast, it's such a amazing, it's heavy, it's raw, it's great. When you go into the studio, do you try to outdo your previous work and come up with something heavier, if that's possible, or do you just go with wherever your creative mind is at the time?
Well, I have literally just finished the full process of the new album, which is called Designer Carnage, and that will be released on Valentine's Day 2022. And my studio, luckily, is about 12 yards away from where I am right now. It's in my house. So I have the ability to just walk in whenever I feel like it, which is, a blessing, because it's very hard sometimes to, detach from an idea and put it somewhere, then pick it up again. You really need to hit it when it's hot. But I can only really, with the album that came after Burial 10, the album that came after That Beast was Burial 10. And I wanted to make Burial 10 even heavier than That Beast. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But at the time, I was like, I can't do better than this. This is the amount of the hundreds of hours I put into that album. I was like, I can't beat this. So when I sat down to do Designer Carnage, earlier this year, I was unsure if it was even worth trying again. So I kind of went a little bit of a different route with the new one, and that was I really pushed my creative abilities. Like, how can I make this as interesting as it can possibly be? How can I make this crazier than it's ever been before? And I just basically took off all the limits. It wasn't a case of going to go heavier. It was a case of me going, there are no limits. I don't care what people think of this. I don't care if people think it shouldn't be considered industrial anymore. I just want to do exactly what I want, what it feels right to do. And what we've ended up with is an album which goes from, the first track has a 2-minute classic, like a classical piano piece, completely original classical piano piece, and some harpsichord at the end of it, and then we have like a rap track, like an NWA style rap track in there, and the last track is 2.5 minutes of black metal, and then some black metal jazz with a live saxophonist. So it's a weird album. It's basically a case of me going, I don't really care anymore, and I want to do whatever I want to do. And it, in my opinion, it's definitely the most interesting, most crazy album I put out there, and I'm very, very proud of it. It has a feel about it. It has a very, I can't really describe it. It feels like a designer album, if that makes sense. Yeah. Maybe it will do if you see it and hear it, but
well, I'm really looking forward to hearing it. It sounds incredible, and I'm glad that you went into it with that mentality of just doing exactly what you wanted to with it, no matter what. I think that's fantastic. So I'm very, very much looking forward.
Yeah, I think I have a blessing of the ability to do that now, because I'm like 16 years into my career. A lot of bands won't have that blessing right now. They'll be like, well, if I want to be known, then I have to follow this path. I don't really care about that path anymore. Right. Like I've already found my place, and I'm happy to do what I want now, But a lot of people don't have that ability, so I totally get it, and I'm pretty blessed.
Yeah, you definitely are at that point, and I'm so glad to see that. So let's talk about something, your most recent music video for I Detach. It's a very big video to take on, but it's just so well done, and the concept behind it, it gives me sort of the vibes of like Silence of the Lambs a bit, but the story is so interesting to see unfold, and watching the music video, it's scary, but you can't look away, and I love that about it. So how did you come up with such a
geez, Trish,
the concept?
So I Detach has probably been the biggest thing I've ever put out in my life. Like, it took me months to put together this one. Yeah. basically, like I was saying before, I always try and up the ante on every video. And this started last Christmas. I was with my brother, and he lives out in the Lake District in a place called Ingleton, and there is a huge like secondhand. I don't even know how you describe it. It's like a, where they pick up stuff from other people's houses and sell it on, like antiques and all that kind of thing.
Place,
yeah. It's called Lords, and it's an amazing place. And my brother was there. Was like, I want to take you to this crate of mannequins and see if you've got any ideas of how to use it. And these mannequins are beautiful. They were like, 1950s, 60s, 70s. They were the proper mannequins, the ceramic stuff. And they looked messed up. There was like 1,000 hands, arms, legs. And he was like, I just want to put this inside your brain for a while, let it noodle around, see if it's going to do anything. So I took it home. I took the idea home. I was like, well, what do I do with this? I've got this amazing beginning, like this amazing thing that I can base stuff around. What is my story? So I spent a lot of time on this script and being very, very careful about how I handled the subject, because I wanted the subject to be a kind of a social commentary on, men basically wanting to control women and make women how they want them to be. Of course, I'm not saying that doesn't happen on the opposite side of sex as well, but predominantly it's male to female.
Right.
But I wanted to really handle that, situation carefully, not glamorize it, because it's certainly not a glamorous subject. So I kind of used that and the mannequins, then created this weird story. And like you say, I used influences from the Silence of the Lambs with, how I was portrayed in it, a little Buffalo Bill going on there. And I think the star of the show was the butterfly that just came up and chilled with us for 2 hours.
That is really cool.
That wasn't intentional. That wasn't in the script. This butterfly wanted to be part of the shoot and was like, this butterfly makes this whole thing make sense, because it's like cocoon to, basically we're taking this woman and making her into a mannequin, which is the opposite of, make it a butterfly coming from a cocoon.
Right.
So we had all these sudden metaphors kicking around that were just really coincidental and fortuitous. So we were really lucky again, and it just shows that it is very good to be lucky, but hard work makes look much easier. Like if you get all the other basics right, these things do sometimes fall into place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took a lot of time and effort to put that video together, and I pretty much did everything on this one. I even edited it as well. And it is my baby, and if I die tomorrow, that's the video I want to be kind of known for.
I think it's an absolute masterpiece. So well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
With that, let's show the incredible I Detach. Brilliant.
Thank you.
It may give me nightmares, but I welcome them.
Yeah, beautiful nightmares.
Yes, yes. And
Good.
and Carrie and the other dancers and just the whole scenes of you dancing happily where he's seeing like, you know, what he's imagining it as, I'm assuming. And then the actual scenes where they're dancing together and you're sort of directing them. Wow. That's so amazing to watch that.
Thank you. Yeah, so the main actress in that is a lady called Olivia Grundy, Chloe, who's Parisian. She came over to the UK last year, and we both didn't know how to dance at all. So we had to like watch YouTube tutorials on how to foxtrot and, you know, all those like 1950s dances. So we just about pulled off the dancing, but yeah, it was very important to go through like the ideal in his head of what's happening. Like he wants this to be his ideal woman, to the reality, like really bluntly, like clicking into the reality, which is him just pulling across like a limp body essentially.
Right.
But I think the biggest thing about that video is the two twins that I managed to get a hold of, Kathleen and Ellen, I think they were called, who were just incredible. Like I didn't really have to direct them at all. They just did what they wanted. And then, you know, we spliced in the stuff of me directing them as puppets later on. But yeah, they were magnificent.
And the makeup and the costuming and everything it's a music film is what it is.
Thank you.
And you can call it horror, you can call it, you know, psychological, but I think it's so fantastic. And I hope that whatever you do in the future, that it's, you know, it's something that you're proud of, because you should be proud of that. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, since there was so much work put into the whole production of I Detach, we actually have a behind the scenes music and film from the making of the video. So can we show that?
Yes, you can. I mean, I did that. I put it on Facebook, and, you know, things go to die in Facebook land a lot of the time because, you know, your reach is so limited.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely feel free to show that.
All right.
Oh my god, yeah, it's really funny.
Oh my gosh. Can rip it off. Thank you, that was
Obviously, the more you put in your mouth, the more fun it will create. Oh my god, he's climbing up. Oh wow.
rolling.
I might not sleep tonight, Nova.
It's really impatient.
Yeah. This is our mascot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, it's like I'm shedding.
Awesome.
I think that's so great that you show that.
I feel really weird watching that. I feel like mixed emotions between absolute trauma of how difficult it was and laughing at all the people having a good time. It's definitely a mix of emotions watching that.
I'm sure, yeah, and just the amount of things that go into making such a big concept of video, it's amazing. And even though, you know, it's such a heavy hitting track and song and video and imagery, it looks like you all were kind of like pleasantly there together and with the butterfly, and, you know, you weren't like, get back in the cage, and, you know, it was
that shit never works. I mean, a lot of directors will, you know, just be shitty to everyone. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of times you go on, especially with commercial projects, people just talk to each other like shit, and that shit never works. Like, no one's gonna give you the best if they're not having a good time. Everyone that I always work with always feel very invested and very passionate about the project. So it's always easy to get people on side and get people to do what you need them to do. You don't need to corral them by being a dick. Basically, just doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, it shows it's like everyone's there to create something artistic and unique and amazing, and that's exactly what you've accomplished. So, well done. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Really, really looking forward to whatever you do in the future. Like I said, I'm sure it'll be brilliant, even if it's, like a jazz track or something. I don't care. Yeah. So, do you have any more live shows coming up, or just?
Yeah. I mean, not for the rest of this year. Thank God.
Yeah.
I get a bit of a break now. I've been a little busy this year, but next year. Definitely playing VGT in Leipzig in May. I think it's May. And then I think I have a show in Latvia in June, and then possibly America in June. Trying again for that. I mean, I tried to make a tour happen this year in the States, and I got really burnt out because it all fell apart because of obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of mustering the energy to start that process again, because it's quite involved with all the situations that are going on. Clubs are difficult I find it difficult right now, and promoters are finding it difficult right now. So it's just about really gathering the energy and the minerals to get that process started again, really. But I'm definitely playing Mechanismus in June.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm not supposed to say that.
Oh.
Who cares? But there may be a tour, or there may not be a tour after that or before that. We'll see how things go, but that's my plan. That's what I want to do, because I have a lot of friends in America. I've been to a lot of cities in America, and I want to see them again. It's been, a few years, and I miss it.
Yeah, there's a lot of we've been attending and filming some really interesting fetish themed events lately. So I think that your music would fit in. I've heard it actually at the events, and I think that you performing at some such event in the future would be like a dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, it does work together really well. You are right. There is a feel about it. I don't need to have half naked women on stage of me to prove it's got a kind of a kinky and fetishy feel to it. I try and do it a little more tastefully than that. But I'll tell you a funny story, and that is that I've only ever DJed twice in my life, and once was in New York, and that fell apart, and the other time was in Seattle, and I played a fetish club in Seattle, and I had an 1.5-hour set, and I cleared the dance floor completely, and someone threw a note at me saying, "Well done on clearing the dance floor, you dick." So I might be a good performer as ESA at fetish clubs, but as a DJ, probably not. So don't book me as a DJ at your fetish clubs, because it just won't work.
All right.
As a tip for all you fetish organizers out there.
That sounds terrible, though. I'm sorry that you had to experience.
Oh, that's okay. No, it was cute. I liked it. They just weren't ready for noise.
Right. Exactly. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, a little too noisy for them.
Yeah.
Never mind.
All right. So thank you again for being on the show, Jamie. And now we're going to be showing some live footage from your most recent performance. Can you tell me a little bit about the performance that we're about to watch?
Yeah, as long as everything is lining up correctly and you've got this footage by then. So this is from Saturday night's event, Sex Club. You won't see any audience because the nature of the event can't turn the cameras around. But I can promise you there was an audience there. But yeah, this is from Sex Club on Saturday. I'm not sure which track we're going to play yet, but enjoy.
Thank you. And thank you so much for being on with me.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
Thank you once again, Jamie, ESA. It's been such a pleasure to have you on Static Desires, and I'm really looking forward to the new album on February 14th.
Absolutely my pleasure, and I do hope you enjoy the new album.
Thank you.